Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading in chronological order. Just such a privilege to have you with us again. We thank the Lord for each of you. Thank you for participating with us in the reading of the word of the Lord. And we pray that above all things that His word would be illuminated to us, that we would see Him in and through His word, and that it would just be a blessing to each of us. So yesterday we started with the book of Job and we went through chapters 1 to 5 and we did a little bit of an overview of the book as well. Today we are going through chapters 6 through to 9, and this is an amazing passage and it's something that we really need to look at. But there is something that happens to us when we go through the book of Job. It seems that when we go through the book of Job, we get lost in the poetry of it all. Many of us, and myself included, tend to spend so much time in the analogies and in the poetry and in the beauty of the writing and in the tragedy of it all, and yet we lose the deeper meaning. Now, I'm not saying that the poetry is not important. I'm not saying that the analogies are not valuable. Of course these things are valuable. Of course these things are necessary. But don't just read it as a book of poetry. There is something so much more to the book of Job. As we go through it, especially when dealing with chapters 3 to 31, we must always have one eye on the core theme of the book. And this core theme deals with the questions that we find in human nature that we often ask ourselves when we assume this in the light of all that goes on even in our lives, all of the difficulties that we face. And the first of the three questions is God just? Now, it's kind of difficult to answer this question when going through the book of Job. We see that Job was a righteous man, upright, and then he was being punished. Or when we look at what he went through, we must remember from Job's point of view, he did not know what was happening in the heavenly realm. Job only knew what was happening to him naturally. Job knew that for the most part that he was upright. He knew that what he was doing was right, or that he was always trying to do right, and yet he was being punished for some reason. Now, that's very important when you see someone going through struggles. The first thing you always do is you try to find out how it's your fault. And this is what Job is going through in this first question. And then we see the second question, does God rule justly? Again, a question that we often find ourselves asking when we see those that are wicked, that are prospering, and then we look at ourselves and we look at how things are going in our lives and why things are happening in our lives. And then we have the third question, and that is, how do we comprehend Job's suffering? Now, I've put it in here in a little diagram, and this diagram I've actually taken from Tim McKee from the Bible Projects. But this breaks down very simply, in a very raw way, how we view things that happen in our lives and how we assume things work in a much bigger and broader sense. So on the one side of the table, we have the human action, and on the other side, we have God's justice. So what we do on the human side will actually result in what God will do on the other side. So if you are wise and good, then God's justice will mean that you will succeed and you will be rewarded. So on the human side, if we are wise and good, if we do things that are right, if we look after the poor and the needy, then God will immediately give you success and reward. And then we have this picture that if we are evil and foolish, that God will bring destruction and punishment to you. Now, this is a simple formula, and it's not to say that this formula is wrong, but is this formula always right? And this is something that the book of Job is challenging greatly. We can get so lost in the picture that God is just a mathematical equation. If I do good things, then good things will happen to me. What you sow, you will reap. Yes, what you sow, you will reap. but we forget the personage of God, that God is alive and that God is working with us, that God is leading us through difficulty. And so the book of Job challenges our preconceived idea. It challenges the notion that God is just a mathematical equation. And now it is bringing in life into all of this. And what is happening in the heavenly realm that Job cannot see is the most amazing confidence that the Lord has in his servant Job. That the Lord challenged the devil to say, have you even considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in all the earth? Job cannot see this. And we in an earthly realm cannot see what is happening in that dimension. And so this becomes the challenge to us, to read through this book and not see the cookie cutter way of dealing with everything. No, we see the person of God, we see the nature of God, and we see the nature of those that truly fear the Lord and truly serve Him. And then we can gauge from here what is happening, and we can glean so much more from the book of Job. So let's get into the chapters quickly. We see that chapters 6 and 7 deals with Job's reply. As we get into chapter 6, we see that Job announces his suffering and he pleads for pity from his friends and from God. We see so many details of Job's response, and we see that he seems bitter. We see that he seems just broken down. Well, obviously, Job has lost everything that he has come to attain. More than that, he has lost his family. He's lost his children. He feels like his wife is not standing with him through this time. He's really battling through that. And so Job is just honest about the way he's feeling. And so he continues in chapter 7 and he describes the frailty of man, and in this justifies his groaning and almost demands an answer from the Lord. And then we move on to chapters 8 and 9. And this is the dialogue between Bildad and Job. And what is happening here is we are trying to make sense of the justice of God. So as we look at chapter 8, we see that Bildad rebukes Job and assures him that God is perfectly just according to the model, according to that mathematical equation that we have. And then we see in chapter 9 that Job agrees with the theology of Bildad, and then begins to assess himself in the light of his understanding of God, in the understanding that if I do good, then good will happen, and so I must have done something bad. And when Job is assessing himself, he can't find what he has done that is so mortally wrong. And so then he just starts berating himself and starts holding himself to account for things that didn't even happen, and he starts questioning even his very sanity. And so we have to look at this, and the whole book of Job goes back and forth like this, especially between chapters 3 and 31, and we're going to see a lot of this. But look at the transformation of Job's thinking as he goes along, and then when the Lord comes to him to answer him. This is where we're going to leave it off for today. I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you. The Lord lift up His countenance toward you and give you peace. God bless you as you enjoy the reading of His word today.
Chapter 6. But Job answered and said, Oh, that my grief were throughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together. For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me, the poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. Doth the wild ass bray when he hath grass? Or loweth the ox over his fodder? Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch are as my sorrowful meat. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for, even that it would please God to destroy me, that He would let loose His hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort, yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let Him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? And what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones, Or is my flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and his wisdom driven quite from me? To him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend, but he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid. What time they wax warm they vanish, when it is hot they are consumed out of their place. The paths of their way are turned aside, they go to nothing and perish. The troops of Tema looked, the companies of Sheba waited for them. They were confounded because they had hoped, they came thither and were ashamed. For now ye are nothing. Ye see my casting down, and are afraid. Did I say, bring unto me? Or give a reward for me of your substance? Or deliver me from the enemy's hand? Or redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and cause me to understand wherein I have erred. How forcible are right words! But what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words, and the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as wind? Yea, ye overwhelm the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. Now therefore be content, look upon me, for it is evident unto you, if I lie. Return, I pray you, let it not be iniquity. Yea, return again, my righteousness is in it. Is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? Chapter 7. Is there not an appointed time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hireling? As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise, and the night be gone? And I am full of tossings to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and become loathsome. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and are spent without hope. Oh, remember that my life is wind. Mine eye shall no more see good. The eye of him that hath seen me shall see me no more. Thine eyes are upon me, and I am not. As the cloud is consumed and vanisheth away, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him any more. Therefore I will not refrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I a sea or a whale that thou settest a watch over me? When I say my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou scarest me with dreams and terrifiest me through visions, so that my soul chooseth strangling and death rather than my life. I loathe it. I would not live alway. Let me alone, for my days are vanity. What is man, that thou shouldest magnify him, and that thou shouldest set thine heart upon him, and that thou shouldest visit him every morning, and try him every moment? How long wilt thou not depart from me, nor let me alone, till I swallow down my spittle? I have sinned. What shall I do unto thee, O thou preserver of men? Why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I am a burden to myself? And why dost thou not pardon my transgression, and take away mine iniquity? For now shall I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. Chapter 8. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind? Doth God pervert judgment? Or doth the Almighty pervert justice? If thy children have sinned against him, and he have cast them away for their transgression, if thou wouldest seek unto God betimes, and make thy supplication to the Almighty, if thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee, and make the habitation of thy righteousness prosperous. Though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. Shall not they teach thee, and tell thee, and utter words out of their heart? Can the rush grow up without mire? Can the flag grow without water? Whilst it is yet in his greenness, and not cut down, it withereth before any other herb. So are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrite's hope shall perish, whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be a spider's web. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold it fast, but it shall not endure. He is green before the sun, and his branch shooteth forth in his garden. His roots are wrapped about the heap, and seeth the place of stones. If he destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen thee. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth shall others grow. Behold, God will not cast away a perfect man, neither will he help the evildoers, till he fill thy mouth with laughing, and thy lips with rejoicing. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught. Chapter 9. Then Job answered and said, I know it is so of a truth. But how should man be just with God? If he will contend with him, he cannot answer him 1 of 1,000. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who hath hardened himself against him and hath prospered? Which removeth the mountains, and they know not, which overturneth them in his anger, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble, which commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars, which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea, which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the south, which doeth great things past finding out, yea, and wonders without number. Lo, he goeth by me, and I see him not. He passeth on also, but I perceive him not. Behold, he taketh away. Who can hinder him? Who will say unto him, What doest thou? If God will not withdraw his anger, the proud helpers do stoop unto him. How much less shall I answer him, and choose out my words to reason with him? Whom, though I were righteous, yet would I not answer, but I would make supplication to my judge. If I had called, and he had answered me, yet would I not believe that he had hearkened unto my voice. For he breaketh me with a tempest, and multiplieth my wounds without cause. He will not suffer me to take my breath, but filleth me with bitterness. If I speak of strength, lo, he is strong. And if of judgment, who shall set me a time to plead? If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me. If I say, I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse. Though I were perfect, yet would I not know my soul, I would despise my life. This is one thing, therefore I said it. He destroyeth the perfect and the wicked. If the scourge slay suddenly, he will laugh at the trial of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Now my days are swifter than a post. They flee away, they see no good. They are passed away as the swift ships, as the eagle that hasteth to the prey. If I say, I will forget my complaint, I will leave off my heaviness and comfort myself, I am afraid of all my sorrows. I know that thou wilt not hold me innocent. If I be wicked, why then labour I in vain? If I wash myself with snow water, and make my hands never so clean, yet shalt thou plunge me in the ditch, and mine own clothes shall abhor me. For he is not a man, as I am, that I should answer him, and we should come together in judgment. Neither is there any daysman betwixt us, that might lay his hand upon us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not his fear terrify me. Then would I speak, and not fear him. But it is not so with me.